So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a basic mix of a church service. And so I recorded our church service onto a hard disk. Then I brought that home on individual tracks. I loaded it up into Studio One. I'm sending everything out through Studio One at Unity, so no adding, no subtracting, no plugins, no nothing. Running it out into individual channels into the Midas console. And then what we're going to do is we're going to walk through this mix and talk about how to build a very, very basic mix. I'm not going to use gates. I'm not going to use compressors. I'm not going to use any fancy schmancy stuff. We're just going to use a high-pass filter. We're going to use a little reverb, a little bit of delay, and just get the levels right, get level matching and balancing happening, balancing in our vocals, creating a drum mix, just basic stuff, and see what we can come up with for a good basic mix. All right? So let's dive in and see what we can do. All right, we're going to start by gain structure. So basically, I'm going to take this track. I know where the largest part of the track is. I'm going to loop that. So it's like in a sound check while I'm telling the guys, give me your loudest volume. I know this is the loudest part of the song, so it's kind of that same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that going. I'm going to start with the drums. And as I go through each channel, I'm going to solo that channel. I'm going to watch my metering here, and I'm going to increase the gain until I'm running at about -10, somewhere around there. And I'm going to do that for every channel. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and it's playing now. So I don't even need to hear it. We don't even need to pull up the volume because all I want to do is I want to see the metering. So if I'm looking here at the metering, okay, I'm getting pretty close. So I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. This is the bass drum. Okay, that's good. And then the snare drum looks pretty good. Toms, we can get a little more. Whoa, there's a big hit. That's plenty. Okay. So now obviously gain is already up on these because these are recorded tracks, but I just want to level out my gain on each of these. Pretty good there. This is actually overhead left. This is overhead right. We want to make sure those are pretty even. Now just for fun, I'm going to pull that up. Let's listen to the drums. So we got a little room in there too with the overhead mics. Pretty basic drum set sound. Now you can hear it's looping, so it's just looping around. All right, good. Now I'm going to go to the bass, and I'm soloing him. Okay, we definitely need to add some gain here. I'm bringing him up quite a bit to really try to get some more oomph there. This was recorded pretty low with the bass. So we're going to bring him up a little bit. All right, here's piano. Synth actually, fine. There's piano left, piano right. Let's bring those up a little bit. Not too much. There's a stereo track, so I'm going to bring those up evenly. Here's my acoustic guitar. I'm going to bring him up a little bit as well. All right, now I'm jumping to my next layers. Here I've got electric guitar, and this is also in stereo. So this side's a little lower than that side. We're going to bring that up a little bit. We're going to bring this one up a little bit. So again, I'm just watching meters at this point, right? We haven't heard anything. I'm just watching the meters. Now I'm looking at my vocals. So here's my lead vocal. All right. And here is some background vocals. All right, so I'm setting gain. So we want to do this every time that we're doing a sound check before we even start mixing. That's step one. Now, I'm going to have them play a little bit. So again, we're just looping a section here. This is the chorus of the song. This is kind of a big chorus. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bringing up faders. All right? Now I have no EQ, no compression, no gate, no nothing. These are just raw inputs. Okay? My point being is that we can get a good mix with raw inputs, and then we can begin adding some things. But the key is we want to capture what they're doing, right? I'm not trying to make it sound like a record. I'm making it sound like what's happening up on the platform. I'm trying to recreate what they're doing and trying to do sound reinforcement, right? I'm reinforcing what they're doing. That's my job. So we're going to bring some sounds up. Now I'm just going to start with drums. Now one of the things that I am going to do from an EQ standpoint, and again this would be the first thing I would do, is I'm going to high pass filter everything except kick drum and bass guitar. Okay? So we're going to do a high pass filter, which is a low cut or high pass filter. So we're just going to each one. I'm going to turn that on. Snare drum, I'm going to probably turn it up a little bit. Toms, I'm going to keep it pretty low. And you may think, why toms? There's low end in there. I want to get rid of any of the extremes of low content. Now my overheads, I'm going to raise that up quite a bit. I'm going to bring that up to, I've got it about 140 on my overheads, okay, on my high pass filter. All right, good. So now I have that on. So I'm getting rid of some low energy, just cutting it out completely. Now the other thing that I'm going to do, actually I'm not going to do it yet. Let's go with just this. No effects, nothing else. I was going to do a little bit with effects, but I will shortly. Now I'm going to add the bass in that. This is a very common way that I do it, is that I allow the bass to come in because I want to lock that in with the bass drum and with the drums. Now, obviously, this is a very textural kind of a song. This is not a big rockin' kind of a song, right? So we're not going to have super overproduced drums or anything like that. This is pretty straightforward stuff. Okay, now I'm going to bring in the synth pad. Now I want that to just sit underneath everything, right? Now I'm going to high pass that because I don't want him getting all in the way of the bass player. So I'm cutting all the highs out. I'm going up to about 140 again. All right? So I'm bringing that synth underneath. I really want it to lay underneath. I don't want it to be overwhelming. Listen to what happens when I bring it too high. It's just sort of like this big heavy wash. I don't want it to be a big heavy wash. I want it to be a pad. That's what it is. I want it to be a texture that sits underneath. Okay? Now I'm going to bring in the piano. Now he's playing a lot of little notes. We'll hear that here. So he's playing some arpeggiated kind of a thing. Okay? So now I'm also going to high pass that. Again, I don't want any high frequencies in there. Okay? And these are stereo tracks. So I'm cutting that out. And that's in stereo, left and right. Okay? And I want that to just sit on top, real nice. Okay? Now here's our acoustic guitar. I'm going to high pass him before we even hear him. And I'm going to bring him up. Okay, and I want him to sit in there. Now there is a loop point. You can hear where it's looping. That's what that little jump is. All right, now I'm going to jump over to my next level of things. So I have electric guitar and vocals left, all right? Now I'm going to bring up the electric guitar a little bit. Okay, so now he's playing kind of a distorted chordal thing. That could get real overwhelming real fast. Let's bring that up hotter and see what it does. That's pretty heavy, okay? So he's killing everything now. So I want to bring it down. I want to still have my acoustic guitar is cutting through with the high frequency. My pad is sitting underneath. My electric is filling it out with that big stereo sound, all right? Now I'm going to bring in my lead vocal. So I want her to be up in the center of the mix. I want her to really be the focal point, right? Now, I have these other vocalists, and let's just do something here for fun. Let's get rid of everything else. Let's just listen to our vocals. Okay? Now we got some bleed in there. It's a natural, it's a live mix. So I'm going to bring up the other three vocals as well. Okay, now I'm going to high pass all of these first. Okay? We're going to high pass them. Probably about a 140 again. Okay, so I've got them all high passed here now. All right. So now this is really, really important. because you want to make sure that your lead vocal is what we hear. If I have these background vocals too loud, listen to what happens. Be the center of our lives. Be the place we It's not terrible, but I want them to be heard as a chord. A good way I've heard it explained is they should sound as one voice supporting the melody. That's what we're looking for, right? I don't want to be able to pick out individual voices very easily. I want to hear her individual voice as the lead and a little bit of them. Okay? Now, here's what I'm going to do to this as well. We have not talked about this. In fact, I'm going to let it stop for a second. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to add some effects. So first of all, I've done nothing with compression. I've done nothing with with gates. All I'm using is a high-pass filter. That's it. That's the only thing that I've engaged thus far. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some reverb and delay. And I'm going to do that on several different parts. First of all, vocals. We're going to add reverb and delay to our vocals, all right? Now, I'm just going to do this and just add some in. And so we're going to add a bit of reverb, a bit of delay, a little bit of each, all right, on every track, every vocal track. Not every track. That would be messy. So every vocal track, we're going to put a little bit of reverb, actually quite a bit. You'll hear it, and delay on there. All right? Let's just listen to them now with that on it. It's going to be fairly dramatically different. Oh Christ, be the center of our Now I'm going to add a little more delay to hers. Be the place we fix our eyes. Oh Christ. Okay. Be the center now I'm going to bring in the rest of the band. All right. And we're going to still play it at this section. So I'm going to unmute the rest of the gang. And let's listen to that, and let's take a look at our levels with the with some reverb and delay on there. The vocals are still in a good spot. Now I'm going to add some reverb to the snare drum and to the toms. In fact, I'm going to add quite a bit to the snare drum. Be the place we fix our eyes. You can see that, hear that. There's quite a bit of reverb on the snare drum. All right, good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the beginning of this song, and let's listen to it in context. So let's again take a look at what we've done. We've looked at levels. We've looked at gain structure. We've looked at high-pass filter, where we've high-passed everything except bass and bass drum. In fact, I think I did a little bit on the bass. Everything else has a high-pass on it, some pretty high. We've added some reverb to the vocals and delay. We've added some reverb to snare drum. I am going to add a little bit of reverb to my acoustic guitar. All right, just a little bit of reverb there. The piano has effects on it. Electric guitar has effects on it. Those guys have effects already. I'm not going to touch them. I'm going to try to keep them as natural sounding as possible from what they're giving me. Let's listen to it from the beginning. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do as we're doing this is I'm going to ride the faders. I'm going to ride the vocal faders probably pretty hard. And usually when I'm mixing in a live context, my fingers are always on all the vocal channels all the time because I want to be able to mix them in real time. I want to be able to adjust, and now compression helps with that, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. Again, I don't want to go down that road because I want to try to keep this natural and very natural sound, very acoustic-y sound of a sound. This song lends itself to that, but I am going to ride the faders, and I'm going to really watch it. I doubt if I'll change things that much, to be honest, but I always want to be aware and conscious of that, all right? So let's listen to it a little bit here, and I'm going to move things in and out. I may make some adjustments to levels as we go. Oh, Christ, be the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our
the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our eyes. Be the center of our lives. You're the center of the universe. Everything was made for you, Jesus. Breath of every living thing, everyone was made for you. You hold everything together. You hold everything together. Oh, Christ, be the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our eyes. Be the center of our lives. Oh, Christ, be the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our eyes. Be the center of our lives. You're the center of the universe. Everything was made for you, Jesus. Breath of every living thing, everyone was made for you. You hold everything together. You hold everything together. Oh, Christ, be the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our eyes. Be the center of our lives. Oh, Christ, be the center of our lives. Be the place we fix our eyes. Be the center of our lives.
All right. So hopefully you can hear how that blends together. Try not to get anything to jump out. There was a couple spots where I felt like the electric guitar was playing some things that I wanted to hear more, so I was bringing him up a little bit. I was adjusting the drums a little bit, but again, that was mainly just to fill out the mix and to get the mix kind of where I want it. Now, there's a lot more that we could do with this, and there's a lot more that I would do it. I would gate the vocals. I would gate some of the drums, although not much with a song like this. The way the drums are being played, it's a very open, ringy sort of kind of a thing. Probably compress the vocals a little bit, and we'll deal with that at a different time. But hopefully this gives you an idea of a simple way to get a nice, even mix, simple mix, and how to build a mix from the ground up. So I hope that was helpful to get an idea as to how to really start with nothing and create a pretty nice, simple mix without a lot of extra bells and whistles. And so please take some of these ideas, use them at your church service, use them when you're mixing a rock band, whatever you're doing, to try to come up with a good basic mix. And then later we can start talking about how to use some of those other tools that are available to you on the console. All right? Thanks so much for watching.